We're live.
Coming at you live. This is Skillz, Bo, and Sir Slorebag. We are the season over Fire Everyone sports show, and we are back after a 3-week hiatus of many hijinks and many crazy things happening in our lives, especially mine, which we won't get into just yet. But the important thing is we're back, and we have a lot to talk about. Hey, I remember that time the Warriors hired Mike Dunleavy to take over for Bob Myers as their general manager. I'm sure you guys remember that too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like it was yesterday.
You mean Dunleavy? Or Dunleavy? I don't know. I can't remember exactly how to spell his name. I get it confused.
Yeah, you're not the only one. He's not exactly I think it was a caller to 95.7 The Game that said Dunleavy just acquired Chris Paul. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. He just acquired the only player that maybe Warriors fans dislike more than him.
That's actually a good one.
So we'll definitely get into that. If you're not familiar with the show, we're here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We're going to cover mostly local sports, Giants, 49ers, and Warriors, but we'll also cover our broad scope of national stuff going on around the NBA, NFL, and sorry boys, also MLB. We also have my feature Skillz on pills, which we'll get into later on, as well as Slorebag of the week. Now we're going to kick things off this week. I mentioned Mike Dunleavy, former Warriors player, longtime NBA player, 15 years in the league with a number of teams, most notably Golden State. He has been named as the replacement. He was named a few days ago as replacement for Bob Myers, Warriors general manager. Bob Myers, who took a step down after over a decade on the job, building 4 championship teams. And Dunleavy's reception, to say it's been cool would be an understatement. A lot of people are assuming he'll be the level of player he was, or comparing it to the level of general manager he'll be. And he was not a great player. He was a high draft pick that didn't turn out to be, just played in that just draft position. We see that all the time. But I'll start with you, Bo. Your thoughts on Mike Dunleavy Jr. as Warriors general manager and the departure of Bob Myers and how it will affect the team?
Well, I can't judge him too early. So far, he's drafted 2 players in the draft. He did trade Poole away to the Washington Wizards for Chris Paul. For me, if you look at it in a positive manner, he just saved the Warriors about $100 million in cap space at some point in the future. So that's huge in terms of where he's coming in. He does have big shoes to fill where Bob Myers kind of left off. For this team, if you can keep it intact to where it is now and get Draymond Green signed and have the core players back, then you know what? For me, for his first year, knowing the fact he's been with the organization for a while, he's been basically shadowing Bob Myers for a couple of years now. I think it's around 4 to 5 years now. So far, I can't speak ill will of him right now to say he's done a bad job. I mean, we can have our bad thoughts about the Chris Paul trade, but for me, I think it was a good trade because no matter how we want to give these young folks some slack in terms of what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, there were so many instances we hated the way Jordan Poole played, the way he was slip and sliding, and the way he wasn't really there for the playoffs to make it better. So for me, Chris Paul, in terms of what they got for how much of a value Jordan Poole was, because knowing what he did for the Warriors in the playoffs, his stock value dropped, right? So it's really hard to say I can get something better for it.
Yeah.
So knowing the needs, they can't get to the free throw line. They couldn't have another player come off the bench who could actually assist the ball outside of Draymond and Steph. And Poole wasn't really a good guard in terms of facilitating for other players. He was good as a scorer in certain occasions, and he's very streaky. I think it was a good trade. And he only has 1 year in his contract. So even if it's bad, we only have 1 season to worry about instead of 4.
I don't see him staying 4 seasons.
Right.
for a number of reasons. I don't see that lasting 4 years. Sir Slorebag, like with the Kennedy assassination and like with 9/11.
What the hell are you talking about? The Kennedy assassination? We're talking about sports. Damn, Gina.
We remember, as Americans, we remember where we were when certain events happened, and I want to know where you were when you heard about Dunleavy being promoted, and what were your thoughts on Dunleavy being promoted?
I don't remember where I was when Dunleavy got promoted, but I remember.
Drunk.
I remember where I was when the trade happened for Chris Paul and Jordan Poole, and I was recovering from drinking too much the night before with our friend Raph. I think I was still drunk, and then like I saw the news and I was like, what the hell? So in terms of Dunleavy, yeah, when I initially heard about it, I was like, what the hell? He's just gonna be basically a clone of freaking Bob Myers, who I wasn't a big fan of. I don't give him as much credit for building the 4 championship teams that others made, because he already had a lot of the core players there. So, but you know what? I do like the trade. Like Ryan said, I'm not going to call him Bo. That's a terrible nickname. We still need a better. Please suggest a better nickname than Bo. That's just weird. So we need something mean or something like that. Anyways,
Bo exclamation point.
Stop it. But anyway, so I'm happy with this horse move. I think we all knew Jordan Poole was going to be here long term after last season. He just checked out. It was never going to be the same after the punch, and yeah, I think we have to overpay, because I think all the teams knew that this was basically a salary dump for Poole. We didn't want to keep him on the books, and like Ryan said, yeah, his performance last season really dropped his value versus just a year ago. It's crazy, right? A year ago we were all attending pool parties.
Oh, yeah.
He's the future. La la la. Like he was good last year. He's gonna be even better this year. And it all went downhill after the punch. We'll never know really if that was everything or if there was other things behind it. But yeah, I think if Chris Paul is willing to be the second point guard, to lead that second unit, it's huge, because that's something that Poole can never do. He was never going to be a true point guard. I mean, even Curry's not a true point guard. Like, Chris Paul's the first real point guard we've had in a while.
Right.
And we think about it, like all the potential in terms of assists and helping the young guys like Kuminga. Because we saw Kuminga has the potential to be a rim runner, get some dunks, easy points. So I'm optimistic about the trade. We'll see how much Chris Paul buys into it, but it's not a terrible first big move for Dunleavy. So I'll call him by his real name for now, instead of Dunleavy or Dunleavy.
It's possible that Chris Paul may be the Warriors' best backup point guard since Brad Wanamaker.
Oh God!
What are you talking about? Don't even. I mean, I'm not the biggest CB fan, but don't ever mention those two in the same sentence. What the hell is wrong with these guys? Like, that's unacceptable. You mean Poop Baker? He was the worst point guard in the history of all basketball.
We're flashing back to a darker period of Warriors history we choose not to bring up too often. Yeah, that was a rough time for us there. And I'm thinking that this trade here between the Warriors and Wizards is more about. Well, actually, I'm on the fence about this. I'm not sure if it's more about getting rid of Poole than it is about bringing up Paul. You get both. You get the best of both. But the fact that they give more draft picks, or more young players, I should say, to make this trade happen makes me believe they were sweetening the deal to get rid of Poole more than it was to bring up Paul. And now, obviously, and we remember when Dunleavy was first announced as general manager a few days ago. One of the things he said was that, when questioned about Poole's future with the team, was Poole was going to be here for 4 years left on his contract.
Right.
And then 72 hours later, he's gone.
Yeah.
And now, he wouldn't be the first general manager to say one thing and do another. We see it, owners do it all the time with the votes of confidence for the general managers. But I'm wondering, does this affect you guys thinking, is Dunleavy someone who, when you come in, and one of the first things you say turns out to be a lie? Is that something, can you get on board with someone like that?
No.
Does it affect your impression of him?
Doesn't mind. They all do it. He's not going to come in and say, "Oh yeah, we're going to trade Poole in 3 days," right? Like, what's he supposed to say? Right. That's why some of these interviews are dumb, because they all ask the same questions, and you're never going to get the real answer. Especially when free agency or the draft is coming up, they're going to hold their cards close to the chest. So yeah, he said Poole was going to be here for a long time. He said they want Draymond back, but we'll see how much they want him back. I have on that, so I'm sure that's a topic for later on. But no, I think he's doing fine.
Plus, if you're at his current situation, knowing the fact that there could be deals in the works behind the scenes and it hasn't finalized, what do you say in front of the media?
Fair enough.
Right? And most of the time you have to say, I value these players I have now.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, and say, even if there's no trade and you go and say, no, we're not going to keep him. We're not going to keep him.
Yeah.
I mean, now he has no value. Like, who's going to take him? They're like, okay, then we just have to wait a year. They're going to dump him, and then we'll pick him up for free.
No, I agree with all that, and you never say you can never say too much.
Yeah.
But for WB to have actually gone on record as saying he'll be here for the rest of the contract, which is also, I think he could have said something along the lines of, well, pool is a big part of our plans right now, and we'll see how things go. Right. He could have been ambiguous with his response, is what I'm saying,
right,
rather than speaking in an absolute 4 years. When we know a 4-year contract in any sports league is not as good as the papers is written on. Even with trade clauses, no trade clauses, and things like that. There's always ways to get out of contracts, and so.
Which is possibly why he's just a general manager and didn't get the president of operations role as well.
Right.
So who is the president of operations?
There isn't one. They don't have one.
I mean,
Bob Myers was.
They're basically the same. I don't know.
It's not. He just doesn't have control.
Do either one of you have memories of Dunleavy Jr. the player?
Yeah, he sucked. He played with Jason Richardson, right?
Yeah.
And he was horrible. Like, he was so inconsistent.
Well, he
didn't
wasn't
make bad
horrible.
He was so horrible they traded him to the Pacers, and then the We Believe team started.
That was a big that's maybe his biggest contribution to the Warriors was going to the Pacers in that trade with Troy Murphy, that brought back Stack Jack and Al Harrington.
Yep.
What a trade that was. I remember when it went down. I was at work at the time working for a bus company, and I heard the news of this trade go down. I was dumbfounded. I almost crashed the bus.
Yeah.
Good times.
Are you sure it wasn't because you were drunk?
No, back then.
Or on pills or something?
Oh, watching Spider-Man.
or watching Cairo video?
They're starting to fall asleep.
There's so many other reasons that you That's probably the least likely reason why you were drafted.
I'm not known for my responsibility, but I have never crashed into, I never crashed into anything. Except for one time I crashed on the freeway. Doesn't count.
Okay.
Okay. I haven't crashed into anything.
That was my own car, though. That was different.
But Dunleavy, I think somebody said, the difference is, when he was drafted as a player, he was drafted too high.
Yeah.
Came with those expectations.
Which is not his fault, though.
You're right. So that's the dumbass whoever was picking for the Warriors back then.
Yeah.
And so I think there's not a lot of expectations for Dunleavy, at least in my opinion. Everybody's just like, yeah. He's like, okay.
But the thing about it, though, is you can't correlate how good you are as a player to what you can be behind the scenes managing things.
No.
Because there are certain players who were great, but they suck at the back end. Isaiah Thomas, right?
Right.
Coach. Was he a good coach? No. So
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Although he won.
He
man.
He's getting paid.
He invested $250 and now he's getting $3 billion. I'm like,
that's right.
Damn.
Yeah.
He just wins, man. Must be nice.
Well, we did have the 2023 NBA draft the other day, and the Warriors came away with Brandon Podziemski. What was he? 19th pick to draft, I believe.
19th pick.
And that was a first round pick, and then the second round they came away with Trace Jackson Davis, I believe is his name.
Yeah.
And both these guys, either one of these guys is expected to be a superstar, but can they be, or will they be given a chance to be contributors to this Warriors team? And it's hard for me to get excited about any draft pick the Warriors have, because even when they had 2 higher first round picks 2 years ago, and neither one of them really has gotten, or no, I won't say they have gotten a chance, but they're to this day they're not considered impact players for the team yet. Although Moses Moody, 2021 first rounder, did make some strides in playoffs last year. So it's hard for me. The way the younger players have been used by the Warriors, from those 2 guys, James Wiseman and others, to get too excited about any new youngsters coming to the team. And Brandon Podjemski, right now he's just a guy. He's just a guy right now. Maybe he'll show us differently, but it's hard to say.
He's a guard, right?
He's a 6'5" guard.
Why do we need more guards? Like, how many guards do we need?
Well, we just traded away a guard, but
still.
Well, the thing about it is we're going to lose Dante to another team at some point. We can't offer him in.
Yeah. No,
so you lose one guard. You shipped away Poole, so now you're stuck with Curry, Thompson, Gary Payton, and Paul. So you need a fifth guard.
Right.
Because of the fact that throughout the season you always have those rest days, and then you factor in the injury prone that Payton is, and the injury prone and the wear and tear that Curry can have, and it's not like Chris Paul is always healthy anyway. So they need that fifth. Because think about it, they had what's his name, the two-way player from I forgot his name, but.
Damn, what is
Lamb?
Oh, yeah, no.
We had well, Anthony Lamb was one of the guys. Then we had
Tyler.
Yeah, Ty Jerome.
Ty Jerome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's your favorite.
That was their fifth guard.
Well,
so you need one.
I think Jerome played enough to get at least a regular deal for somebody next season.
But the thing about the Warriors is they make horrible first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
That none of them really stick except for Curry so far.
Or during the Myers era, I think the best one's been Lindy.
Right. But they do make good second-round picks.
Yes.
Throughout the entire almost organization that in terms of what they've done.
Yeah.
Clearwell was a second-round pick. I think Tim Hardaway was a second-round pick, wasn't he?
No, tomorrow was the first-round pick, yeah.
Okay, but yeah. Him and then Draymond Green
Mm-hmm.
was second round.
I think Festus was second round. He was a good player for a while.
Second round. And knowing this guy and what he can bring, he's not an outside shooter, but from what he's doing so far, 4 years in college, he's a 2010 with 6'9", 7'2" wingspan, who can basically give you what the Warriors need, which is size down low.
Gilbert Arenas too, another top second round pick the Warriors had. Was 20 years ago. They're just throwing it out there. And Jackson Davis. I'm gonna just call him Jackson. I don't
it's TJD, man.
TJD. We go with that. Yeah. 57th pick overall in the draft. Came into Washington, and I've heard some good things about him. I've never seen him play. I don't watch college basketball unless it's nothing else on TV. But if he can do the things that he's been advertising able to do, it'll definitely be an addition to the Warriors. We have not had a guy who can do those type of things in one.
Yeah, he has potential, but he just, you can learn a lot from Looney and Draymond, but he just, hopefully he puts on bulk, because I think from what I've seen, he's really skinny. He's athletic, obviously, but we need somebody that can actually help us down low.
Looney, give him that fit aid.
So maybe, give that, whatever.
Well, he did say he's going to try to learn from Looney and Green.
So I think there's potential there, but at the NBA level, he needs to bulk up before he can really help the Warriors. But I do like his athleticism. He has a long wingspan, so I'm more excited about TJD than I can't remember the first round pick's name. So
Brandon Podjemski.
There you go, Brandon.
And it's Brandon with an I, which I'm not going to disparage people, but that's just don't do that. That's just not masculine to me. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Whatever. But anyway, moving on. Also, we have the Draymond Green saga. Is he or isn't he coming back? Was another sub headline from last week when he chose to exercise his opt out of his contract. And there's reports that he's after $100 million to stay. Well, I mean, it's anybody's.
Makes me sick.
It made Spider-Man throw up. You don't see that very often. But Draymond, for all he's done for Golden State, he's been paid very handsomely for what he's done for Golden State. But as we know, when you get the good with the bad, you get the bad with the good with Draymond. And $100 million to me, unless it's for 10 years, which
it's not happening for 10 years. What is he?
It's not baseball.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to do that deal. What do you guys think?
For me, knowing the fact that who are you going to get out there to replace him first?
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to get? Because you have no money. Like, literally, you have nothing to offer.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be the type where you're going to offer someone and you're going to get the return back. With Draymond, he knows the system. He knows who the offensive players are. He doesn't require you to basically have the ball in his hands to be effective. He gives you grit, yet comes with the technical fouls and the attitude and everything else.
And occasional assaults and the practice and all that.
Right, but he gives you the intangibles to make Curry and Klay Thompson do what they need to do in the game. So for me, knowing the fact that Curry has what 3 to 4 years, I believe, in this contract, and he's your offensive core in terms of how this team is built. Green anchors that defense. No matter how you look at the bad stuff that he does, he anchors that defense. So you need him. So for me, not 100 mil. Probably if it's 3 years, probably 80 is what I would give him.
But let me just interject here real quick. And you mentioned how Green anchors the defense. This is a defense that, for much of the first 2/3 of last season, was often atrocious. Now, would you say? I mean, my personal belief, a lot of that could be blamed on the failures of Poole and the failures of Wiseman. Because Green can't guard 5 guys all at once. And he can only tell these guys to do so much. They have to do it. And Wiseman too many times did not do what he was tasked with doing. Too many times he's way out of position. Too many times Jordan Poole's is blown by. He's out of position.
Right.
And I'm hoping that, when we have Draymond Green anchoring a defense, he's got to be given tools to work with to anchor that defense. He's got to be given actual anchors. So what do they call those things that you hammer in? I don't know, whatever those things are called. You know what I'm talking about. But Draymond's help anchoring a defense will only go so far as the players around him. And I don't know what Podziemski or Jackson Davis are as defenders. And if they're going to get a chance to play enough to get a chance to show what they can do on defense, we'll see. But no, I agree with you in that aspect, Bo. It's just that he's got to have something to work with if he's going to anchor that defense.
Well, it's not just something to work with. You have to have players who's willing to listen. Now, he's not the easiest personality to deal with and work with.
What?
Because
no, I don't believe that.
He will punch you. He will yell at you, right? But
Harrison Barnes will not. He will argue with you to the death on that. That is his best friend.
But Draymond Green has probably one of the highest basketball IQs out there.
He does.
And in terms of it, if you're just willing to listen to his shouting, to his possible physical altercations, he'll make you a better defender. He will. But there's only certain people who can tolerate that. Izzo, for once, can tolerate his old coach.
Yeah.
And these people stuck by his side because they understand him. And they know what he went through, and they know what he is as a character of an individual. Now, the media plays a lot of role in terms of making him look bad, right? But who was saying all this when they were winning championships?
Not many.
Exactly. When they won a championship last year, did you hear Draymond Green's name? No.
Winning does mask a lot.
Exactly. So, Draymond Green's a winner. I don't think he fits in any other style of basketball outside of what the Warriors can give him, because if he wants to go to the Lakers, he doesn't fit. Like, how do you put him with LeBron and Anthony Davis? You can't.
I don't see that.
I mean, you're gonna need a scorer, and you have no outside shooting with that kind of a starting role. So,
Slorebag, so do you give Green 10 years and $100 million?
10 years, $100 million, easy, no doubt. You can say as long as he wants. But I'm not giving him, because then I saw that Stephen A. Smith said, yeah, Draymond's worth $100 million easily. I highly disagree. I don't want to be locked into a bad contract. That's my biggest thing is, like, if I don't want to be, like, I'd rather let him walk now than be locked into another 3-year contract where we're paying too much and we're stuck consistently. I get it. He's done a lot of great things. If he comes back for a pretty good deal, like a fair deal, I welcome him back, right? My ideal is 3 years, $60 million. That's what I think is ideal. Obviously, the market may say otherwise, but $100 million is too much. So, and the thing I think about is, yeah, I just don't think even with Green we can beat Joker. I don't think we can beat Denver. Like, the size difference is too much. And so I'm just thinking about, like, what do we need to beat Denver? Because they seem set for the next couple of years as long as Murray and Joker stay healthy. So even Draymond, it would be tough to beat the Joker and Murray or Denver and everybody when Draymond won at his best because of the size difference. And now that they're all older, like, I just think if we can can somehow find a way to use that money to bring in somebody decent that has actual size, it'd be helpful. So,
what do you consider as size though? Because technically, would you consider Bam Adebayo better than Draymond Green on both ends of the court?
right now, yeah.
Okay, but they didn't win. They didn't win.
But
And if you're gonna say let's get someone bigger, wouldn't be that individual? I mean, who are you gonna get out there right now if you're worried about the Nuggets in terms of how the Joker played? And mind you, you can't say that the Warriors couldn't beat them because they never met them in the playoffs.
Not this year.
And we beat them last year, but they didn't have all the
last
other
year doesn't
individuals.
count. They were
Right.
Yeah, and then, but the regular season games weren't even close.
Yeah, but
Like,
it's fine. But I'm just saying, Joker still had like really out of the world stats when they played last season. He just didn't have Murray, and he had all the supporting role.
Right.
What I'm saying is, if you say we build our team right now to be able to face a Nuggets team that is revolving around the Joker, who do you get out there that you see that will fit this team right now that can match up toe to toe with him?
I don't know if that person's out there. I just know that
Doesn't exist.
But either so if they don't exist, then I still don't want to overpay for Draymond. Like if he comes back on $2 deal, fine. That's fine. But I do not want to pay him $100 million. And so, I don't know. I don't know who's out there. Like if Lopez an opportunity.
But Lopez can't guard Joker.
He can at least.
I won't
And
pay
then-
him to guard Joe.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
he
the
can
thing.
slow him down a little. I don't
Right.
know. But yeah. So Draymond, it's a tough one. I just hope they don't overpay. Because
I think what Slorebag is trying to say is that our best chance of beating the Nuggets will be size.
No, it's not. I'll be honest with you. Your best chance of beating the Nuggets right now, right, is to surround him with guards who can actually defend. Because the key to beating the Nuggets is not Joker.
Yeah.
The key to beating the Nuggets is stopping Murray. You stop Murray from scoring 30 points a game, they're not going to win. And that's one thing the Heat couldn't do.
That is a
It's
strength.
like if the Joker can't make assists, which means that the other players, you can give the Joker 50 points. He'll lose if the other players don't give him at least 15 to 20 points. If those starters can't score, they lose. And that was the problem. The games that the Nuggets won, the Joker had triple doubles.
Even in foul trouble.
Right. That means those assists were going to these other starters, and they were making the baskets. So you have to stop that piece. Because think about the people that's surrounding him in the starting line. Aaron Gordon couldn't do jack against the Warriors the season ago, right?
No, he was useless. I don't remember him having
Exactly.
something like that.
Yep. Couldn't do anything.
And yet he went off.
Yep.
This year.
Yep.
And no matter what you try to do, stopping that Nuggets team right now is going to be a challenge.
yeah.
And size, I mean, it can't hurt. But I agree with you both. I think you both make valid points. Just that this Denver team is so balanced and so good. They've done a very good job of being. And this is the other part I want to lead into, and I guess now is a good time as any to lead into it. We haven't spoken since the Nuggets won the NBA Finals a little bit over a week ago against the Miami Heat, and they did so under Mike Malone, Coach Michael Malone, in his 8th year with the team. And we see all around the league this coaching carousel of guys like Frank Vogel, Doc Rivers, Mike Budenholzer, all getting fired after three years or so with their teams, because each team thinks they can do better. Nick Nurse is also in that group. And because we had a trend last decade of first-year coaches coming in and winning championships, Steve Kerr with the 15 Warriors, Ty Lue with the 16 Cavaliers, Nick Nurse with the 19 Raptors. Now these coaches are left wondering, when we have a good thing going, or these teams, I should say, when we have a good thing going, do we stick with these coaches that may have gotten us close to the championship or into the playoffs at least, or do we try to maybe go for it all, go for broke, get a guy who can maybe take us there, somebody different, and try to strike, catch lightning in a bottle, whatever. And this approach to me, I don't know, if you're gonna just recycle the same old coaches over and over again, I don't see. When you have a team like the Nuggets who won with their coach in his 8th year, they stuck with him through all these injuries, all these different challenges. and he led the Nuggets to a championship. What is the right course of action to do? I mean, if you're the Suns and you just fired Monty Williams, he got to the finals recently. He just won a championship a few Bucks 2 years ago under Mike Budenholzer, and now he's fired. And it just goes on and on. And I personally don't like it.
It's a tough one. Well, first of all, Nurse got lucky, so I don't put him in the same realm as the others. Like, we all know why they won that championship, all right?
We're Warriors fans.
So, like, other than that, he hasn't done that
You
much.
can say the same thing about Ty Lue when he won this championship.
Oh, yeah,
because they got lucky too.
Yeah.
If LeBron James wasn't whining in front of like millions and millions of people about how he got hit in the nuts for stepping on top of his boyfriend Draymond Green, then it wouldn't have happened, right?
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. I don't. Ty Lue got lucky. Nurse.
And Ty Lue was canned like a couple years later.
Exactly. So I mean, that's a tough one. I don't know. I am surprised about the Bucks, but then you hear like there was already some stuff going on in the background that we didn't hear before. So sometimes you just gotta cut loose, man. I don't know.
And we're not inside the teams. We don't really know what's going on. I'm just saying from an outsider's point of view, looking in, you're the Lakers and you just won a COVID title, but still a title under Frank Vogel. 2 years later, he's gone.
Asterisk title. Come on, man.
I mean, what do you want? You can nope. There's 30 teams in the league. You can't win a championship every year. And I'm just waiting for the day when we see a team win a championship and fire their coach immediately after.
During the parade.
We're gonna let you go.
You're gonna let you go. Sorry, you can't be in the parade anymore.
Get off.
Get off.
Get off the floor. Security walk that guy out. He can watch on the side.
Or in the middle of the parade.
Yeah.
He's getting escorted off.
What are you doing? I'm part of the team. No, you're not.
Maybe even after the post-game press conference, you see the Raptors guy. Yeah, we're very happy that who the Raptors hired some guy. I didn't write it down. Some guy that hired his coach. Yeah, coach, blah blah, won us the title, and we're all happy that we're.
We
now
wish him
champions.
well.
We wish him well. But I think we should have won by 40 points instead of 20. So.
But I think like you mentioned, some of the past success from young coaches like her and maybe others, Ty Lue, Nurse, has spread this because now people are not patient. They're like, well, this guy's not working out. Maybe we can catch, like you said, catch lightning in the bottom with somebody new. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it does.
Yeah, so the thing is, all three of those coaches that I just named they took over for coaches who were successful with the teams that they were leading. Mark Jackson had success with the Warriors, but they thought they could do even better, and it turned out they were right. Ty Lue took over for David Blatt. That was more of a LeBron thing, but still, David Blatt had been the Cavs have been winning under Blatt. And then Nick Nurse, Gentry had led the Raptors to the playoffs a number of years. Not Gentry. Who am I thinking of? The went to Detroit. Spells his name. Dwayne Casey.
Oh, okay.
He led the Raptors to a number of successful years, and he was out, replaced by Nurse, who had no NBA head coaching experience, and then they get Kawhi Leonard, and now he's a champion. So it's at what point it's just wondering, at what point should you be content with where you are? I mean, you should never be content, but just be grateful because the grass is not always green on the other side. I mean, these are risks that these teams are taking, and hopefully they know what they're doing. And maybe there's reasons why that we don't know about. It's just from the outsider looking in, it's just a troubling pattern to know that you can be successful and 2 years later be fired.
Yeah, and the other thing to remember is that players have more power these days.
Yes, they do.
So like, it's not just the ownership or like, if your star player's not happy, then you got to go with that. So that's also a factor.
But also, what is considered successful? Because, like, for instance, Doc Rivers, the only time he's won a championship was with Boston when they stacked it up with Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce. He had a very good team when he was with the Clippers, when they had Paul, Blake Griffin, and Jordan. Mm-hmm. But they just couldn't get over the hump. They can't win the chip. So for owners, right, knowing the fact that they probably base success on trophies, right, it's a failure. When you get to the top and you win, it's always a failure. You then get back up there and win again. That's why there's only certain people at certain teams that's willing and has been able to keep their job at a certain time frame and the long run. I think Spoelstra's an outlier. He's only won once, I believe, and then he had those seasons. No, he's won once without the big three. right? Was he there when he won with Dwayne Wade and Shaq?
No, he was not. No, that was Pat Riley. That was Pat Riley.
But he was
He was an assistant there.
Yeah. That's
And
right.
then he got promoted to right, and then he had
Right when they got LeBron
and he's been there even after they lost LeBron and stuff, and they haven't really won, but they've been in the playoffs.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So, like.
But that's because he's under the tutelage of someone who coached prior.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of these other teams are run by money-hungry, greedy owners who define winning by winning championships. And when teams don't win, it's the coach's fault always. And a lot of it should be, for me, general manager comes into play because of the fact that they're the ones who's recruiting, they're the ones who's drafting. Coaching, yes, because you don't just coach the players, you coach the personality, the behavior, John Moran. The things they do outside of basketball. Same goes with the chemistry in terms of what you have. But sometimes you're stuck, right? You're stuck with players that you have, and you're supposed to make them work, and sometimes it doesn't work. And you're right. Players have so much power nowadays. Steve Nash got fired. Why? He got fired because of Kevin Durant. LeBron James has fired how many coaches during his season?
LeBron James tried to get Eric Spoelstra fired.
That's right.
The body count is large.
So in that regard, they hold a lot of power because it's not the coaching that brings people to the stands. It's those players, those once in a lifetime players, the Antetokounmpos, the Currys, the LeBron.
Well, I can see you going. I can see you being drawn to a Warriors game just to yell at Coach Kerr. I can see that happening.
As much as I hate Kerr in terms of what he does, I truly feel the team chemistry in terms of how it's built and then how they move forward to certain things make a difference. But there are coaches who have, as you guys mentioned, taken a little extra on top. Because, for instance, when the Lakers got Shaq and they had Kobe, they couldn't win the championship.
Not at first.
Not at first. They won when they got who?
When they replaced Del Harris with Phil Jackson.
That is correct.
The Zen Master.
The Zen Master, because he was able to control the personalities, but it does help when you get Robert Ory.
Speaking of which, where's the Zen Master? Let's replace Kerr with that.
Yeah.
And Phil Jackson, as you may recall, was fired right around the time Shaq was traded because Kobe wasn't, he wanted to be just in charge of everything.
Right.
The Lakers went straight into the lower half of the standings and didn't return until Phil Jackson returned.
That's right.
And won 2 more titles out of 3. So coaching does, I think, to some extent matter. And
I mean, look at the Grizzlies. Like, I can't believe what's his name again?
Ja.
No, the coach.
Taylor Jenkins is the current coach.
Yeah, like he can't control his players. And I'm like, he should have been fired. I can't believe after everything that happened with Brooks and John Morant over the last few years, like he obviously has no control over the locker room. Like he's somebody that should be fired. Like you need somebody over there that can handle these young guys, and there's no leadership there.
He's still there.
But he's still there, so I don't know. That's a baffling one. Because I'd be like, as an owner, I'd be like, we need somebody that can control these young players, that can instill some type of fear that if you mess up, you're not going to play, or there's going to be consequences. And versus right now, there's no consequences.
Yeah, but you can't babysit every player every
No,
single
I'm
hour.
saying, but
That's the problem. So.
But it's obvious that Jenkins.
And we'll use that to transition to our next topic, which we haven't talked about the update in the Ja Morant saga development since our last show. Ja, of course, as you recall, during the season, later part of the season, faced an 8-game suspension, served an 8-game suspension for being caught on social media, waving a gun around and being a general nuthead. And that was in the wake of other incidents, such as beating up a teenager in his yard and going after a security guard at the mall for apparently dissing his mother or whatever with a posse or whatever. So just bad behavior all around on Ja's part, which he confronted and apologized for, said he would do better. That was in, I believe, I want to say March. During the NBA Finals or during the NBA playoffs, he was again found on social media waving a gun around, just being a knucklehead, doing that thing again. And Adam Silver, to his credit, said, "We'll wait till the finals end before we announce his penalty for that." So as the tape came down for the Raptors when the Nuggets won Game 5, Adam Silver jumped in front of everyone and announced that Ja would be suspended for 25 games because He was, doing the same thing. He said he wouldn't do again. He said he would learn from it. Obviously didn't. And I personally want him out for a season. Guns to me in the wrong hands are a problem. Guns to me are not something you should take lightly. And maybe for whatever reason John's going into this, only he knows. He's got that buddy of his, whatever his name is. The guy that got
He's a
banned.
gangster, man. That's why.
He thinks he's a gangster. And I don't know why you want to do that. Why you want to pretend to be one when you're not. But his buddy
From the suburban.
his buddy from is a bad influence. He's not helping. Bo, we'll start with you. Do you feel that 25 games was too lenient, not lenient enough, appropriate? What are your thoughts on suspension for John?
I think 25 games is about right in terms of it. No matter how you look at it, the only people that's trying to protect themselves is the NBA in terms of their face and what they stand for. At the end of the day, no matter what kind of suspension you give an individual, right, you can't control their behavior and you can't control what they do outside the court. I think part of the issue with Ja is he surrounds himself with a lot of people with phones and cameras.
I mean, just take it away.
I mean, you gotta say, hey, you're gonna hang out with me, you can't have a phone, and don't take it out. For some reason, he doesn't see that because you can look at his habitual behavior in terms of what he's been doing over and over again. The most consistent piece of it is someone has a camera in front of his face, right?
Yeah,
because
he wants to be seen.
Exactly. So you take that away, then he's playing again, and he's not losing millions of dollars. What are you gonna do? I mean, suspend him, take his account away, don't let him sign with AT&T and T-Mobile or whatever, Verizon, and you take that piece, then you have.
But
it's an image.
But Slorebag, I'll go to you next. Sorry for cutting you off. Slorebag, but does that mean maybe he could get a contract with the NRA?
I guess he could, right? Maybe if basketball doesn't work out, he definitely has. He could be the president of the NRA. Obviously, he'd win easily. But I put this blame squarely on Usher. He should be a better dad. He's done a terrible job.
Terrible.
So Usher, John Morant, this is all your fault, man. Because Usher's his dad, right?
So
close enough.
So maybe what he needs to do is get traded from Memphis and go to either Dallas or San Antonio, where everybody has guns.
Oh, there we go.
He'll fit right in. He'll fit right in.
In Texas, they don't care. They're probably encouraged.
Right.
Boy, the future of John Morant in the NBA is kind of up in the air right now.
I mean, if he doesn't learn from this, because he's losing a lot of money.
He is.
If you don't learn after losing lots of money, then you is a dumbass, man.
We have breaking news. Breaking news report. LeBron James. As we know, we can't go too long without mentioning LeBron James on this show or on any sort of media anywhere.
Trade Clay for LeBron.
And here's the latest update. We have just received word. This is breaking news, people. We have just received word that the NBA all-time scoring leader, LeBron James, was seen walking down the street not far from his residence when he abruptly stopped and began favoring his left foot. It appears that the 38-year-old suffered a recurrence of an untied shoelace.
Oh no! Oh no! The world's gonna end! Oh
Our prayers with LeBron. And as the story says here, upon seeing the situation unfold, witnesses rushed to LeBron's aid to offer assistance with the shoelace, but were reportedly told by James, "It's cool, I got this." James then retied the wayward lace and continued in the same direction he was headed before the incident. At this time, it is unclear whether or not today's developments will have any impact on James' future with the Lakers. Scary situation down in Los
He'll be
Angeles.
fine. Draymond Green will tie his shoelace.
Draymond Green was there to help to catch him before he fell too hard.
That's right.
Actually, we know that's false because we know that LeBron and Draymond Green are currently in Europe together. So
right.
You need to check your sources. So maybe he fell, but it was not in L.A. It was in Italy or wherever the hell they're at.
Italy, France, LA, same thing.
Yeah. No. Okay.
And other news I want to cover before we move on from the NBA is when the NBA Finals ended, the last time Udonis Haslem, 19 years with the Miami Heat, retired as an active player, age of just under 43. Haslem spent his whole career with the Heat. mostly as a bench player, but also there were times when he was a full-time starter for the team.
10 years ago.
10 years ago, and he started a little bit when Wade and LeBron and Bosh were all together, and he was a part of their 2 championship teams back then, and even their 06 championship team along with Wade. But as we know, he kind of faded away into the background as a semi-coach, half coach, half whatever you want to call him. I don't want to use the word cheerleader, but basically he was like backup for Eric Spoelstra. And Udonis Haslem had, for his career, here's some facts I don't know if you guys know about. He is second to Dwayne Wade all time among Miami Heat history in games played. He's second to Wade in minutes played. He's our all-time leader in offensive and defensive rebounds, which also means he's first in total rebounds. And he nearly, let's see, I put some notes, I don't know what that means, so we'll just skip that. Haslam is 43. He was in the same draft class as Dwayne Wade, actually, but was not drafted. Finished his career with 879 games played. He was a starter from 04 to 09. And
that long ago?
Yes.
What the heck was he still doing? Why they should have made him a coach years ago.
He wouldn't get paid as much if he were a coach, I guess.
I mean, that was just weird. I don't get why he was on the roster for so long, but I guess they liked him.
And here's some context that from 2016 through 2023, the last 7 seasons, he played
2 minutes,
65 total games,
and 65 total minutes.
For his career, he took 71 3-pointers and made 9. So I mean,
that's a terrible percentage.
Good for Haslem, and he's going to go down as one of the great Miami Heat. His number 40 is going to be retired. Do either one of you have any memories of Udonis Haslem or any comments on his retirement?
They're going to hang not his jersey on the Raptors, but his seat. Sitting on for almost 30 years.
They're going to retire his seat.
They're going to retire. Nobody can sit in that seat.
No one can sit. No one can warm that seat the way Haslem can do it.
That's Haslem's seat.
I mean, yeah, he was a good player for a little bit, with the Heat a long time ago. So, I mean, other than that, I forgot he was still around.
No, he was
every now they'd show him like he'd yell at somebody. I'm like, oh, he's still in the league. But that's it. So,
yeah.
Well, my favorite memory of Haslem will be just last year on my birthday, March 23rd. Warriors, Heat were visiting the Warriors. Something happened, and Jimmy Butler and Haslem got into it on the bench. And they started arguing, and Haslem was ready to basically beat Jimmy Butler into submission.
Oh, you're right.
Had to be restrained, and then the best part about that was Coach Spoelstra and Butler getting into it. Was Spoelstra slamming his clipboard down on the ground, the angriest I'd ever seen him in his whole career in the league. It was a nice birthday present on top of the Warriors' victory that night.
Did Jimmy Buckets give him a Michelob Light?
They all
remind
laughed.
him. Know your role. Sit in that bench.
Yeah.
I believe he did have some choice words, but I also believe that had those two thrown hands at each other, Butler would no longer be with us.
No, yeah, you don't mess with Haslem. He's a big, yeah. He's like the old school type, big type. Like you don't mess with him.
Yeah, he's certainly not someone whose bad side you want to be on.
Nope.
And closing our NBA portion of today's show, I just want to mention that we had mentioned the NBA draft was a couple days ago. Does either one of you know why there were only 58 picks in this year's draft instead of 60?
No.
Some teams must have lost draft picks because of something.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah!
That won't get you anything on Jeopardy, but it gets you a prize on this show.
Yes! What is trying to cheat and you lose draft picks?
I can't do a Mayim Bialik or Ken Jennings voice, but there you go.
There we go. Who lost draft picks?
Well, Chicago Bulls lost the second round pick because in December of 2021 they prematurely entered into discussions with who was Lonzo Ball? New Orleans about a signing trade deal for Lonzo Ball. So they were stripped of a pick. Then a year later, December of 2022, the Sixers lost a 2023 and a 2024 second round pick.
Damn.
Because they spoke too early. Now get this. They spoke too soon in free agency to P.J. Tucker and Daniel House.
They lost.
And were caught and penalized And,
What a bunch of idiots. What a bunch of maroons.
and that's why Doc Rivers is fired. Okay, so yeah, he's to blame for what's going on over there. Okay,
Was it Daryl Morey who did that?
had to be worried.
Yeah, well, of course. He sucks. I can't believe that guy is still a GM in this league. Like, what the hell, man?
He must
Now
know something.
that's ridiculous, man. That guy's a Looney Tunes crackhead that does not deserve all the money he's stolen from owners.
I'll be honest with you, fellas. Do you think it's worth mentioning? Because I've been talking about this for a while. The travels of the number 35 pick in the NBA draft, because it's been moved and pushed around a number of times. Do you think it's interesting enough to mention here?
What?
The number 35 pick in the draft, which went to Boston, had originally been with 5 other teams before Boston. Do you think it's interesting enough to mention all its
No.
history? No? Okay, good. Then we won't.
I say hell no. That shit's boring.
Okay, then I will table that, and we will instead talk about, I think now's a good time, Sir Slorebag.
Wait. We break this. We have a break in the program because I want to show you the sloppy ass handwriting in this notebook. I don't know how anybody reads this. It is freaking terrible. Like, look at this. I could write better, and I'm not even real. Like, what is that? It looks like hieroglyphics on crack. Like, how do you, what the? Oh my! I don't know if I'm drunk or if my contacts are like blurry.
No, it's
Like,
chicken
what?
scratch.
Oh my!
I
Don't insult chickens.
Oh my god.
Oh god! I was just looking at trying to read that. Like, what?
Okay. Oh, we almost after the show, I don't have to bleep anything.
Oh.
Don't bleep. Okay.
Well,
I cussed earlier.
Oh, okay. I have to go back and listen to that.
the bleeps are the best part of the show. What are you talking about?
I missed one of your bleeps from our last show too. I don't know how I missed it. It was like right there too, but it got out. Anyway, my bad, public. He said finger,
Yeah, sure.
which in the wrong context is also offensive, but whatever. Okay, new segment this week, Sir Slorebag, Slorebag of the Week. This is where we give notoriety and mention to a loser or a clumsy guy, a blooper, whatever guy deserves to be kind of like, beat up on a little bit verbally. This is where Sir Slorebag will give us his 2 cents on the Slorebag of the Week. Who embarrassed himself in your eyes more than anyone else? Go ahead.
Well, this happened during the Giants-Dodgers game, I believe last Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember. And I already forgot the player's name, but we all know the play, that crazy play at the end of the game when...
Well, there was a pop-up near the mound.
Yeah, and they dropped it, and then I think the pitcher or somebody like picked it up from the ground and was throwing it to first, and then he threw it 100 feet in the air. And then he was in the infield, and it was just a throw to first, and it just went way over.
And it was rising as it went to
It
first
was.
base.
It's like he was throwing it to his kid in the stands or something like that. It was ridiculous. I was for sure the Giants were going to lose because of that. By some crazy miracle, the Giants didn't lose. Like, I don't think a run was scored off of that play.
No, because you remember the rest of the play because of the Dodgers' bad base running.
Yeah, Machado messed up, right?
No, Machado's in the Padres.
Oh, Machado. The other guy.
Mookie Betts and the
Betts,
Dodgers,
whatever.
and the guy behind him. I
They all look the same.
Yeah, Mookie Betts, Manny Machado, separated at birth.
They're all from Puerto Rico,
all
Dominican. They're all related. They're all cousins, man.
Are you Mookie Betts?
Whatever.
Well, yeah, they ended with the Dodgers base running blunder, so both teams, Giants and Dodgers, screwed up that play royally. And if you haven't seen it, find it on MLB.com or on YouTube somewhere. It's epic.
So he's my Slorebag of the Week, brought to you by These Nuts. Do you have to bleep that out?
No, that's staying. That's staying. Because it could be a company by that name. We could give them sponsors.
Yeah.
There is.
There we go. There we go.
And baseball news. We have how many minutes do we have left? We have about 7 minutes left, so we'll end the show with a little bit of baseball stuff. The Giants had a 10-game winning streak. San Francisco Giants come to an end last week, but they, with their youthful infusion, Farhan's young guys, they've all come in and made impacts on the Giants. The Giants have won 10 games in a row with these guys leading the way. And Brandon Crawford, even last night, the Giants beat Arizona last night with a 36-year-old Brandon Crawford diving and making a play short to end the game. It was classic. It was a throwback to 10 years ago. Giants are playing some ball right now. Have either one of you seen any of this or heard any of this going on? See, these two are not true baseball fans. They'll watch here and there, but I'm really the baseball guy in the bunch. Any thoughts on the Giants' 10-game win streak and their place in the National League West?
Well, if you see episode 2 of the show, you'll at the end you'll know how I feel about baseball. But not my favorite sport. But yeah, I did see a little bit of the games, and like I said, I was watching that Dodgers game, and they pulled it off. They actually swept the Dodgers, so that was impressive. That was the first time they swept the Dodgers in LA in a long time, right?
Well, by those scores, scoring that many runs. I fear there was some sort of because they had a 15-0 victory in there, which was just music to my ears. That hadn't been done in like generations.
Yeah, but Bailey's playing well, so I guess the Bart era is officially over. They got a youth movement, so it'll be interesting to see. I may even go to the game this year. Oh wait, I already went to one, but I may pay for a game this time because I went because it was free.
There you go. We also have, of course, the Oakland A's going through their situation. The land deal in Vegas seems like they got approved by the legislature down there. It seems like it's going to happen. It seems like the A's are gone. They're just small hurdles now they got left to jump. And I actually called into our 95.7 The Game radio show last week and ended up in tears over the whole situation. Just really unfortunate thing was going on in Oakland over there. I wish their fans, because I personally could not take it if one of my teams moved away, and I don't know how you guys feel about that, but any thoughts on the A's?
They're
Bye.
still there.
Well, I mean, I just think we all knew that when we saw those plans to build that fake stadium, wherever they said they were going to build it, we knew that was never going to happen. So I don't know what the whole back and forth was, because we all knew that Fisher was not going to, he doesn't want to build here, he doesn't want to be here, it's too expensive, so he's going to go where they're going to give him money to build a stadium. So, I mean.
Do you find it funny that the two teams that were there, except for the Warriors, okay, the Raiders, the owner for the A's, they're all cheapskates.
Yeah, they are cheapskates.
They don't want to shell out money,
Yeah.
so they go where someone's going to do it for them for free.
Do it for
Yeah,
them.
basically, that's basically it. Which I get it. Right? That's how the rich stay rich, right? They find ways for other people
Right.
to pay for their right.
Bleep.
Oops. Yeah. Unlike on the Laker, right? He actually went to a more expensive area.
Yeah.
So he, I don't blame him for that. But yeah, both the
But
Raiders.
they had a winning culture, though. That's the only difference with the Warriors.
Yeah.
They won games, so there's value there. People are willing to invest on winning teams. But if you have like the A's, who's like a revolving door for good players that they won't keep because they won't pay, who wants to buy such a team or even help them or invest in such a thing? It's a waste.
And it's because the owner's cheap,
That's right.
just like the
The
Faders.
Raiders. Yeah.
We'll close this week's show with another segment of ours, Skillz on Pills, which is because I take blood pressure medication among many other pills, and it's because things in sports.
Really? That's the only one you're gonna. That's the only one you're gonna mention? Okay.
Among other things.
Addy.
They get my blood pressure high, and this week's incident I'm going to mention is what got my blood pressure high. It was from Major League Baseball. It was from a Rangers White Sox game. I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday, when as we know, the Buster Posey rule, when Buster Posey's leg was broken in 2011, a rule was instituted where you must leave a lane for runners to slide in the home plate if you're a catcher to try to cut down on collisions. Well, Rangers catcher Jonah Heim seemed to have done just that very thing in this game against the White Sox. He left the lane. Elvis Andrews of the White Sox slid home. He had a path, at least everyone else, that he had a path home, but he was tagged out. It was, seemed like everything was good with the play. However, the White Sox manager, Pedro Grifol, I think is how you pronounce his name, appealed the play and went to video review, and the runner was called safe because Heim apparently did not leave a lane, which left Rangers manager Bruce Bochy and me livid, even though I had no stake in that game. I'm not a Rangers or White Sox fan. I was livid that this rule continues to affect games like this. There's no reason for that to be called. If you haven't seen the play, go see the play. Heim is Guys, he's behind the plate. There's all kinds of lane for the runner to come through. I don't know what the umpires are smoking. They're certainly taking worse medicine than I'm taking. Adderall, maybe cocaine. I don't know what else.
Whoa, this is a family show.
Horrible, horrible call. That's my thoughts on that play. That's Skillz on pills. Anything else you guys want to add to that, or are we covered there?
I think that's enough baseball. Thank you.
That's all I could take.
That's all I can take. Yeah, that's boring.
This has been the season over Fire Everyone sports show. Thanks for coming back for our third week. Hopefully you'll be back again when we record again. This is Skillz, Bo, Sir Slorebag. Peace out. Happy Saturday. If today's a holiday, I forgot, but if it's a holiday, happy holiday. We'll see you next time.
Hey, go see my movie. It's awesome.